chat? Yo. Yeah, honestly, this is not gonna be a really long live because I got to go to a music video shoot in like an hour. So it's just like, honestly, I'm gonna just hop on live today, trying to get in the, I'm gonna say, the momentum of things again, because I used to live stream pretty consistently for like 2 months and then I like just kind of stopped. So I'm trying to get back into the flow. But there's some crazy things going on in our world today, dude. Like, what happened? Iran and Israel are now fighting. And they're not only just fighting, they're really bombing cities and stuff. What's up, chat? I see y'all. Like, it's really crazy what's going on. So we're going to take a look at that. And apparently, India, some dude survived a plane crash. I thought those things were, like, insurvivable. Mostly, like, how it landed and how it exploded. It's crazy stuff, man. Crazy stuff what's going on. So we're going to take a look at that. My bad, chat. I'm eating some gummies right now. Dude, this was insane. A lot of people are saying, like, it was the pilot's fault. Like, the pilot was the one that didn't, like, for example, this one says the flaps were wrong. I mean, I'm not a pilot, so we're going to take a look at some of these videos and see what they're trying to say. I personally thought it was the engine. Like, I'm about to show you all the video. You guys are going to see it. Let's see what this guy. Let's look at this video. Why is it glitch? Is the stream glitching or is that me? Hold on, I think this is glitching. We'll just make sure. Nah, the frame rates haven't dropped, so why is it glitching? I'm gonna get a better video for y'all. That video is not it. So, like, look.
We have more video that we can show you now. Now, this is more video of the moment the plane took off and came down. And again, a warning, you may find these pictures distressing. Let's show you these new images that we have, though, of CCTV of the plane.
Yo, that is wild.
And you can see the plane in the top right-hand corner of the image.
Took off completely normal. Then out of nowhere, it just couldn't keep going. Like, what? That's what I'm trying to say. Is like, is it the pilot's fault or is it the plane's fault? Because I don't want to sit here and be like, oh yeah, the pilot. Oh yeah, 100% the pilot. He was the one that didn't do the flaps or whatever that people be talking about. But at the same time, it's like, could also be the plane, because before the plane took off, there was a video that literally showed like the equipment not working, the AC not turning on. Like, you know how planes sometimes on the back of the seat, they be having like screens and stuff. The screens weren't working. So like, I don't know if it was like an electrical issue, but I feel like the plane would have told you though. I'm gonna check it out because some dude did an explanation on it, so we'll see. That's wild. Like, what's going on in 2025, bruh? So many plane crashes. That makes me not want to travel no more. I'm not even gonna lie.
Well, they don't need any commentary, do they, these images? They're just absolutely awful.
Damn,
but it also
people in the
really
chat.
illustrates, Paul,
what's good,
the
chat?
speed that this happened. I mean, that plane
My bad. It took me a
literally
minute to
took
pop
off
up the chat.
and
I have the
it's
chat
20 seconds later it comes down virtually. It just got no height at all. You can see quite clearly from these pictures, can't you?
Yeah, and it's that clip we run is less than a minute long in real time, and it emphasises, I think the commentary we heard from a previous guest, the phrase that struck me, the plane needs two things to take off. It needs speed and it needs a lift, and this plane had neither, and we can see that illustrated in the footage. It take off.
So with all that being said, you see how this dude like literally Like, you see how the plane literally crashed? Some dude actually survived it. Like, how do you... Let's take a look what this dude had to say, dude, because when I saw that, I was like, bro, this is crazy.
Becoming a licensed CPA can be challenging. You need 150 credits, which is more than most people graduate college with, so you'll need to fill in the gaps, which...
Well, a British national with ties to
crazy.
India is the sole survivor of the airplane crash yesterday.
It's really an incredible story that this man survived. After the plane crash, there was video that started circulating showing one man walking away from that.
Someone in the chat said too much luggage. I don't know. I don't think it was too much luggage because, like, planes are really strict about their luggage. I genuinely think it might have either been the engine or the pilot, but some dude did an explanation. We're going to check that out in a second.
That scene, and that survivor spoke to Indian State TV.
I can't explain. Everything happened in my eye. I can't. Emergency door is broken.
Yeah.
My seat is broken.
Yeah.
Then I see the pace little bit.
Yeah.
Then I will try to come out.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why.
So, did the aircraft catch fire before you came out?
Yes.
Okay.
A little bit fire.
That's
After
crazy.
I'm out. Then blast.
Again, the sole survivor, 240 other people on board died.
Dude, that doesn't make sense. He said the plane crash, little fire, he got out, huge explosion. Bro, when I watched this video, it looked like it just crashed, exploded immediately.
Again, the sole
Like, what?
survivor, 240 other people on board died.
That is crazy. You know, he was sitting in, like, what did they say, like A11 or something like that? Like, it was some like front seat, which is weird because usually whenever you enter planes, they're always like, no, it's the back seats where you usually survive the plane crash. The front seats never survive. But this dude survived in the front pretty much. I don't know, dude. It still makes no sense to me because to me it looked like the plane immediately exploded. Like, immediately. So sometime between, like,
Again,
here... Hold on, let me mute her real quick. I don't want to pull that up. Why did it do that? Why did it do me like that? So sometime between... Let me just mute it. Sometime between here... and, like, here, this dude gotta have, like, left the plane, bro. Because, like, right after that, it's just... Like, what? Like, y'all are telling me bro didn't, like, that doesn't even make sense. The survival guild. Yeah, his brother was actually a couple of seats behind him. And he didn't make it out. He was the only one that survived. And I'm still trying to figure out, like, how the hell he, like, somehow managed to escape in that split of a second. Honestly, you know what my theory on it is? My theory is, like, he was actually, I mean, I don't know. Actually, they have his boarding pass and stuff, so that's not a valid theory. But my theory was going to be, like, he was the dude sitting in the building, and he got hit by the plane, kind of, but he didn't die. He just, like, got his head hit. So then he was just like, yeah, I was in the plane. But nah, they have his boarding pass. They know he was on the plane. So, like, he literally, like, jumped out of the plane before it exploded, which makes no sense to me. But, like, you know what I'm saying? God was on his side that day. Something was on his side. But yeah, then pretty much
People on board died.
let me
Some
see if
people
I
on the
can
ground.
get a better explanation. Indian man survive plane crash. See what he has to say.
वो मेरे नज़रों के सब सामने हुआ था. मेरे खुद को भी बिलीव नहीं होता कि मैं कैसे उसमें से जिंदा. मैं भी मैंने के अंदर ही.
Alright, I need the English version, gang. Let me see. I want to hear him speak, but, like, I don't want to read it. Yo, this was actually him walking away from the plane crash. Like, so the plane crashed and he wasn't stunned or nothing. He just got up and walked. I'm gonna find a video of him, like, talking about it in a second. But, like, let's just look at this one first, because, like, he looked completely normal. Like, this dude is, like,
Are still a lot of questions after a plane plummeted to the ground shortly after takeoff in India, leaving hundreds dead. Still unclear at this point how many people on the ground perhaps could have been killed after the Air India flight bound for London crashed Thursday. More than 240 people on board the flight were killed. The Boeing 787 Dreamliner went down in a residential area, marking the first crash ever of that type of plane. The NTSB and FAA are now joining in the investigation.
All right, we get it.
Started away from
this. Look at it, bro. Look at this man, bro. This is right after the plane crash. Look at him, bro. What?
And now to an update on this story we first brought you yesterday at
noon.
Several news sources in India say they have verified this video you're looking at here, and that this is the lone survivor of the crash walking away from the scene. Reuters is reporting that he jumped from the plane.
That dude is him. That dude is him. They said he jumped from the plane. What? That's crazy.
The crash walking away from the scene.
It's crazy.
Reuters is reporting that he jumped from the plane's emergency exit. He was reportedly traveling with his brother, who unfortunately at this point still has not been found.
Yeah, like I was saying, his brother did end up dying. R.I.P. Let's look at that guy's explanation though, because I did see a dude try to explain it. And he was kind of just like, the pilot in the wing flap. The pilot didn't do the wing flap properly. Or something like that. Let's see. I'm gonna leave this video up, but it's not gonna be too long of a stream because I got I said at the start of my stream, but a lot of people influxed as I started streaming, so I was saying that it's not gonna be too long of a stream because I have a music video to go to in like literally 45 minutes. But I was like, I'm gonna do a stream before I do all that. Let me see. Oh yeah, here's the dude that explained it.
The investigation of the Air India Flight 171 plane crash turned up new evidence raising controversial questions. Did mysterious debris fall off the plane just as it was crashing? Did the pilots have the wing flaps incorrectly set prior to takeoff? Did the pilots incorrectly retract the wing flaps instead of the landing gear after takeoff? We will examine these issues and seek answers to these mysteries and get to the bottom of it. Before we do this analysis real quick, I just need to apologize for this error that I made in my video yesterday, so I want to correct that here for you. And anytime we make mistakes, we'll go ahead and correct it in the next video. But yesterday I showed you that seating chart for the 787.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. At first, remember when I was making that theory, I don't know if some of you guys were in here for it, when I was making the theory that maybe the plane crashed into the building and he was just in the building and then he went unconscious and woke up and thought he was on the plane. Yeah, this is literally his like ticket that shows that he was in seat 11A. That's the front of the plane, dude. That's the front of the plane, and he still managed to survive. And he was the only one that survived. I wonder how that happened. Like how do you do that? Like, what's going through your brain? Like, I wonder if he was probably just in straight fight or flight mode, just straight, just like, all right, I need to just get out of here. Like, that's so weird. Like, my brains physically can't like register all that.
And I showed you where the lone survivor passenger was sitting in 11A. The only problem is I had Googled a Boeing 787-8, which
someone said, let's just assume it was aliens. That's funny.
Is what this plane was that crashed. But the seating chart I got was a 787-9. And so I'm going to show you the correct one now because this pertains directly to our discussion today. So again, I apologize for that, and I hope you will forgive me. Now, I know what you're thinking here. Jeff, man, you're Mr. Perfect, man. You've never been wrong. You're always right. That's true. I've never been wrong. There was one time I thought I was wrong, but I was mistaken. So you can see this is where he was sitting, and it's still the same seat.
Hold on. I think my big ass head is covering that, actually. I'll just put it here. So they say he was sitting like literally here, pretty much cockpit over here. Literally front of the plane. That's insane. It's insane.
Still 11A, and it's still pretty much in the same physical location. And if you look next to the circle there, you can see that's where the emergency door was that he likely escaped from. Okay, so the Daily Mail news media website ran this story here today, and it says, oh, exclusive. So they're showing this video that everybody's seen, and they're calling that exclusive. Okay. Video shows object flying off Air India plane seconds before crash as expert hails miraculous escape of British survivor in seat 11A. So here in the video, they identified something that they said fell off of the plane just before it crashed down and impacted. And so
that's definitely not him. There's no way he survived that. Like, there's no way that's him. Can't be him. That's definitely, there's no way. That would be no way. I don't believe it.
I guess one of their experts that they were talking to said it was probably one of the emergency exit doors, which I think is preposterous. And so they pointed over here to seat 11A there, and there's your survivor. Now let's look at the part of the video again really close where the Daily Mail and other observers are saying they saw debris fly off the plane here just before it crashed into the ground. So we're going to stop it right here. So there's the plane pretty much getting ready to disappear below our view. And keep in mind, don't get fooled by that depth of field there. The plane is hundreds of yards past that tree right there. And it's also going 200 miles an hour approximately.
That's fast, man.
But so just concentrate on this area right here. And we're going to see what's happening with the part coming off of the plane. And this is why it doesn't even make sense to me, but you'll see what I'm talking about when you see the part. There it is right there. See it? See how it just popped right up there? Okay, so a plane that has already hundreds of yards past that point, all of a sudden you have something here that's moving upward, which is already kind of goes against physics here. So there's the part right there. See it? And it, as we step through it, you can see it's not really doing anything. It's sort of floating in air, which is why I think this is not anything that would have fallen off the airplane. And there's your explosion starting far off in the distance from this point. So what I think happened, I think the plane the wind of it coming real close to somebody's rooftop there sucked something off a rooftop, like maybe an awning or a sheet of plywood or tar paper or something like that, because this is not something that's dropping. Because remember, if the part had fallen off the plane, it only makes sense, folks. I mean, really, this is one of those moments here, people. Because if that part had fallen off of the plane and the plane's going down, then the part would be going down at the same rate that the plane is. It would be going down and hitting the ground. It wouldn't be going up from the ground. It would be going down to the ground. So that, I think, is why this has nothing to do with the airplane. And it has nothing to do with that lone survivor of the crash. And this is not the emergency exit door that some people are thinking that this is. They think that somehow this guy took the emergency exit door and threw it off the plane and he jumped out of the plane. That is simply not the case. And not only that, folks, it is physically impossible for any human alive, even me, as strong as I am, it is impossible to open an emergency exit door inside the plane because, first of all, the door is forced against the hull like this. So as soon as that plane is pressurizing and it's going down the runway to take off, it's putting pressure against that door and no human could pull that away. And so even when the plane lands, the only way to open that door is to pull it inward, which you can't do until after the crash or after a safe landing. And when you pull that door inward, it goes like this and goes like that and then out. So it's sort of a complex motion there. It's not something that you can just take and throw it off the plane. That was not the door to the plane. So next we want to address this controversy here. We've been getting a lot of comments, thousands in both directions here since my video yesterday. And so a lot of people out there, about half the internet, thinks that when this plane took off, that the flaps on the back of the wings were set incorrectly. It was a bad configuration. The other half of you out there think that it was set correctly. So who's right? And why is everybody looking at this differently, especially on shaky, grainy video where you can't really tell? So we're going to analyze this. So I want to show you what properly extended flaps look like before the plane takes off. And then I want to show you why it might have been impossible for them to take off in this airplane with bad flap settings on the back of those wings. So here is a Boeing 787-8 sitting at the gate, and there's the rear flaps on the wing, right? So there you can see, and then there's the line there. That makes a gap when they extend out the flaps downward and to create that curvature. So the reason why you have to extend those flaps for takeoff is to add curvature to the wing. It's called increasing the camber. And then what this does is you're actually increasing the surface area of the wing so that it will have lift. And then, so there's that line right there that you would see, the gap, once it starts to extend. Okay, now watch here as the captain starts to set the flaps. See how they went down a little bit there? And see, that's it. That's as far as they go. So they're moving right now. and that's probably a 15-degree setting. But you can see it's a subtle difference. It's not that obvious on the wing, and he's testing here also the slats, but it's not that obvious.
Yo, we got 220 people in the chat. Yo, is there any pilots in this chat? Also try to get to 50 likes. We're like pretty much right there. We're at 47 right now. Yo, this is amazing. Yo, y'all are doing crazy. If there's any pilots in the chats, say something. Say something. Let's see it. Let's see what I want to see what you guys think about this.
Looking at it, especially if this plane goes flying by you at 200 miles an hour, that you can tell whether these flaps are extended or not. So all of these people that are claiming that they see that the flaps are not extended, I still don't agree with that, folks. The video is not clear enough to tell, because here, sitting on the plane, you almost don't even really notice it. Now, as the plane taxis down the runway, pay close attention to these flaps, because this is what is supposed to happen. This is what it should look like. So you can see how they are extended, and now we go nose up here, and as it lifts up, within 5 seconds of liftoff is when the landing gear should be up. So pretty much right by now, the landing gear should always be up, and it should go up before they do the flaps. So the flaps should still be down because we're not at enough altitude yet, and we're probably not going at enough speed yet in order for air to efficiently flow enough over the wings to give it lift. So you're going to see them close up that gap now, and they will go ahead and retract the flaps. So just keep watching the action on those flaps right there. You can tell that it happens, not immediately after liftoff either. Now, watch this. See, there it is. So now they're retracting the flaps, and you can see it's just such a subtle difference. It doesn't look that much different than it looked 5 seconds ago before he retracted the flaps. So for all of these people that are claiming that a plane flying by 200 miles an hour on an obscure, shaky video, that they can tell that the flaps were set properly or not, is just mind-boggling to me, because I've also seen interviews with other Boeing pilots who've seen the video and said they can't tell if the flaps were set or not. Okay, now look here at both of the wings. In the middle of the wings, you see how you got like those black lines right there? That is that gap that I showed you that I think proves that the flaps are indeed set in the extended position here. Because remember, it's very subtle on these wings. It's not like it's going to be hanging down, flapping like a door. They just stick down just a little bit. And at this distance, you're not going to really be able to see that 15-degree flap angle. And even here on this Boeing 787-8 taking off, look at the flaps after it takes off. You have a hard time even seeing where they are there. Look, see, they're right there, but you have a hard time seeing that they're extended or retracted. You just really can't tell at this point. And this is a crystal clear video shot from across the runway on the airport. Okay, now let's address this very critical point here of could the pilots have taken off in that plane with an invalid flaps configuration setting? And I think the answer is no, because look, this is what happens if you try to take off and you hit those thrusters there and you're going to take off with the flaps not extended. Now,
hi, I'm Brett.
And I'm Jonathan.
This is Darla.
And
now what you're about to see is in a Boeing 737.
Configuration warning in the Boeing 737. And that'll go off for 4 main reasons. If the flaps aren't set for the 25 degrees, the parking brake is on, or the aircraft is out of trim, and lastly, if the spoilers are extended.
So you heard how.
So pretty much what I said earlier, I was like, I'm pretty sure earlier I was saying something like the plane would tell you if you were doing something wrong. So like that's what I'm trying to say. Like I don't even necessarily think it was like a pilot error. I think it might have been like a technical error or an engine error. I don't know. Let's see if this guy like tries to piece it together.
How loud that alarm was. So I don't think that there's any way that any pair of qualified pilots could ever take off on a plane like that without the flaps set properly. Now, a huge number of you commented on my video yesterday that you think that, okay, let's assume that the plane had the flaps set correctly when it took off. But 5 seconds after takeoff, when you're supposed to retract the landing gear, let's say the co-pilot made a mistake, and instead of retracting the landing gear, he instead pulled the flaps lever, which would retract the flaps, and now you're reducing the area of your wing now, and you're going to lose lift because of it. And that would explain that scenario as well. What do you think about that? Well, here's something that I think that it's not likely they would mistake that, and here's why. When you look at the cockpit here of the Boeing 787, this right here is the flaps control. And so it has a much different feel and shape and location compared to the landing gear control, which is right over here. And I'll show you a better close-up shot of this in a minute. But they're two different functions. So this one here, you kind of grab it with your fingers, and it just has a tactile clicking at these different locations here. So you would know, it's very obvious. So you would go up to, like, say, 15 degrees here on it, and you'd hear those clicks. But the landing gear is completely different. It's very definite. You have to pull on it, and it's got that round shape similar to a wheel. So you can see these are two differently shaped control handles, and you have to operate them differently, and it just seems so unlikely that you would get the two confused. And they're not even right next to each other where you would grab one by mistake either. So yes, I think it is possible that the co-pilot might have screwed up after they took off, but I don't know. I'm just thinking that two knowledgeable pilots like this, it's just so unlikely for that to happen. I think maybe there was some type of a hydraulic problem or something like that right after they took off. Like, supposing they did set the flaps correctly, but what if the hydraulic system failed to respond? Maybe that could be the problem, right? So then when they go to retract the landing gear, he operated it correctly with the right lever, but hey, wait a minute, it's not retracting, something's wrong here. So I think they may focus in on that as...
Yo, don't they got the black box? I feel like the black box will just tell them what really happened, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're just talking like, maybe it did all this and this, but at the same time, it's like, I mean, I don't know. I don't think the pilots would be like, oh my God, the freaking lever isn't working. You know what I'm saying? They'll probably just be panicking. So I don't know if the black box would tell too much for real.
As well. And that smoke you see there is not smoke. It's dust kicked up at the end of the runway from the plane. And make sure to keep those questions coming, because this is a great engineering discussion. This is a...
Yeah, he's pretty much ended the video, but yeah, I don't think a lot of people really know what happened yet. So I feel like we're just going to have to wait for more news, honestly. But talking about news, Israel versus Iran, if I'm being honest, like, I don't even really know too much what's going on, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't really check into, like, the world, global politics, whatever, but, like, one of my friends sent me a video. It was literally like a main city getting absolutely obliterated. I was like, no way, dude. So this is crazy.
We do begin with that breaking news in the Middle East and now escalating fears of an all-out war in the region. The IDF has confirmed Israel has hit nuclear targets. Officials say dozens of jets completed the first stage that included strikes on dozens of military targets, including nuclear ones. Our producer on the ground in Tehran heard blasts around the city. Our teams have reported air raid sirens in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. The strikes come as the U.S. has planned nuclear talks with Iranian officials this weekend. We'll go to Tel Aviv in just a moment, but first let's go straight to senior White House correspondent Selena Wang. Selena, what are U.S. officials saying about this attack?
Well, in fact, we're just getting a statement from the White House. According to Secretary of State Marco Rubio, in the statement, he is stressing that there was no U.S. involvement in this attack. I'll just read to you part of it, saying tonight is...
Do y'all think this is like the start of a world war? Like, you know how like low-key starts out cool and then everything just starts to escalate? That's exactly where it's going right now. And history loves to repeat itself. Like, I don't know why, like, everything loves to, like, be in a cycle, you know what I'm saying? A cycle of peace, then war. But then, you know what I'm saying? I feel like war is kind of necessary also for peace, if that makes sense. Like, as sad as it sounds, but I feel like that's just, like, a universal law. Like, there can't be bad without the good, you know what I'm saying? But let's see what happens, then. Hopefully, like, no nukes go off, because if we start dropping nukes, it's over. It's over. That's probably when the aliens really are going to show up.
Israel took unilateral action against Iran. We are not involved in strikes against Iran, and our top priority is protecting American forces in the region. He goes on to say that Israel advised us that they believe this action was necessary for its self-defense. President Trump and the administration have taken all necessary steps to protect our forces and remain in close contact with our regional partners. Let me be clear, Iran should not target U.S. interests or personnel. Now, Lindsay, this comes after the State Department had ordered non-essential diplomats out of Iraq, and the Pentagon had authorized military families to depart throughout the Middle East voluntarily if they chose to do so. The president has said that the region could become very dangerous. Now, earlier today, I asked President Trump just how imminent this strike could be. He said it very well could happen, but he stressed that he prefers a diplomatic solution. In fact, just last month, President Trump had said that he warned Prime Minister Netanyahu against striking against Iran because he said the U.S. and Iran were close to an agreement. So the big question here, Lindsay, is what this means for ongoing U.S. and Iran nuclear talks.
Selena Wang from the White House for us. I want to bring in ABC News military analyst Steve Ganyard. And Steve, we know that Israel has been warning for months, if not years, that it might strike Israel. Why now?
Lindsay, I think that they were fed up with the negotiations, that the U.S. was getting played by Iran, that Iran had no intent of giving up its nuclear program, and that they were going to push forward on enrichment and eventually.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what someone told me started the war between them. Was like they didn't want Iran with nukes. So then Israel was like, nope, y'all are not having nukes. That's interesting. Y'all think Iran would start nuking countries if they build nukes? Wouldn't that be crazy? Wouldn't that be freaking insane? Like, look at this. United Africa. What's happening in South Africa? Isn't like a genocide? It's not crazy. Like, aren't we in 2025? Like, why are we still doing genocides in 2025? Like, come on. That's crazy. Like, I look at this, I'm thinking like Miami or something. It's just getting nuked. Like, what? Like, this looks crazy, dude. Nuke South Africa? Why would we want to nuke South Africa? Yeah, dude, you've been dropping some funny ass comments. That's crazy. I forgot her. I think it's Israel. That's wild. This is like civilian population, though. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, usually in the wars, they aim for like the what's the word I'm looking for? Like the places where the weapons are stored. You know what I'm saying? Like military bases per se. But they're literally aiming for cities. Like, this is crazy. I think this is Israel nuking Iran, right? Pretty sure Israel also has like the Iron Dome. Y'all heard about that? How Trump wants to make like a golden dome over the whole U.S. so like no missiles can like really hit us for real. I think they're trying to copy Israel because I heard Israel has like an Iron Dome, so he's trying to do the same thing but better. I wonder if it works for real though. I feel like not every, like if a real nuclear war happens, I don't feel like an Iron Dome could like protect all of them. Like maybe a majority, but I feel like at least one or two would slip in, you know what I'm saying? Because you'd be surprised how many nuclear warheads there are. Like people could send out like 30 nukes at once. Like what? Like why do these people have that much power? 30 nukes at once? You could destroy like a whole country. $30 nukes at once is crazy. I'm still thinking about that. It's a lot of power to give random people. It's a lot of power. Oh, it's looking bad, man. It's looking bad. I think Fox did something on it. Hopefully we don't end up going to World War III, because I know somebody's going to drop a nuke in World War III. Like, somebody. Like, maybe not the U.S., but somebody's going to say, screw it. That's really when war is going to start.
Now, we're going to get back to the ground in Tel Aviv in just a moment. But first, I want everybody watching tonight, I want you to take a step back. I want you to ask yourself a simple, basic, fundamental question. In the last decade plus, as I was just talking to Kevin Corke about, this tiny little country about the size of New Jersey, Israel, has been targeted by tens and tens of thousands of rockets and missiles and drones from Iran and Iranian proxies. Iran is the one providing the weaponry. They're the #1 state sponsor of terror. They provide the weaponry to Hamas. They help plan the October 7th attack. The Quds forces, the Iranian Revolutionary Guards forces. They help Hezbollah and Islamic Jihad out of Lebanon in the north, the Houthi rebels, and many others. Ask yourself, as an American, ask yourself a simple question. How many missiles would it take from a foreign country and their proxies that would be fired into the USA, into our country, killing American citizens, terrorizing American citizens, before you would want that country stopped? Would it be 1 missile? What's your threshold? 2 missiles, 100 missiles, 1,000, 10,000? You know, what would you expect American leaders to do if this country, the #1 state sponsor of terror, was, according to reports, a month to 6 months away from arming themselves with a nuclear weapon, as they have been firing these tens of thousands of missiles throughout the years? And also the country pledging to wipe the U.S. like they have pledged to wipe the U.S. and Israel off the map repeatedly, chanting repeatedly, death to Israel, death to America. Now, I assume 90+% of you would want your government, you would want your country to defeat this clear and present danger. You would like to remove that cancer, that evil that exists in the world. Well, that is the exact real-life scenario that Israel is facing.
So that's really how this started. So, like, you know what I'm saying? Iran is like, death to America, death to Israel, death to blah, blah, blah. So then they're just like, all right, bet. Boom, dropping bombs on you. That's crazy. Yo, that's a real world power, man. That's a real life power. Literally just said, oh yeah, death to me. Boom, bomb your country. Like, what? That's just real life at the end of the day. I guess that's what happens when you just, you know what I'm saying? You're just a billionaire, I guess you could say. I don't know. I don't even know, dude. Like, that's just still crazy.
According to estimates, enrichment levels now inside the Iranian nuclear facilities were at 60%. To get to 90% weapons grade level, where they could actually produce a weapon, that means their outbreak level, would mean they're about a month away from being armed with a nuclear weapon, according to some reports. I don't know for sure. I can only go by what I read and the people that I talk to, my sources that have access to intelligence that I don't have. Even the IAEA announced that Iran violated the Non-Proliferation Treaty. They, too, have said they're very close to getting to weapons-grade enrichment. At the same time, they were stockpiling weapons, fortifying nuclear sites and military sites and assets like never before. And according to U.S. intelligence reported by Axios, they have in recent months been amassing over 2,000 plus ballistic missiles with warheads capable of carrying up to 4,000 pounds of explosives. That, to me, is Plan B, knowing that if their nuclear sites were ever targeted, they would overwhelm the Israelis' defense systems and missile defense systems, and that would be another way to wipe Israel off the map. Now, according to U.S. intelligence, they amassed all these thousands of ballistic missiles with warheads capable of carrying that amount of explosives. That's a clear and present danger. And that number was growing.
Someone says war brings a lot of money. I feel like that's also like really true, because I feel like in a war, like every time we went through World War I, World War II, there was always like a major economic upgrade. Like, I don't know what, I mean, obviously in a war, people, you know what I'm saying, are more united and want to, like, I guess you could say build more. So that makes more sense. But yeah, there's always like an economic boom right after every single war. So if we do end up in World War III, don't be surprised if the U.S. is like completely futurized, like on some different level stuff. Well, what's my Twitch? Yo, I don't have Twitch. Should I start streaming on Twitch too? Because I know Twitch like is low-key a good stream. Everyone streams on Twitch, but I don't know. I already have a YouTube audience, so in my opinion, like YouTube is like my main streaming. You know what I'm saying? But maybe Twitch eventually, because I know Twitch does pay well too. Twitch is pretty good. I like Twitch.
With a production, according to Axios yesterday, of 50 new ballistic missiles every month. My sources tell me that number is much higher. Their goal, produce enough missiles to overwhelm the Iron Dome, create a mass casualty event inside Israel, and ultimately Israel's destruction. That is their stated goal. And don't forget, this is the world's #1 state sponsor of terrorism. They fund all of these terror groups. They helped orchestrate the October 7th attacks. They also further fund Islamic Jihad and the Houthis and militia in Syria and Iraq and other militant groups responsible for attacks also against American soldiers and American civilians. This is a government that despises the modern world. They imprison, they torture women. The subjugation of women is unbelievable. You can get put in jail and beaten for wearing the wrong clothes. They execute people for being gay. Their phony legal system is based in Sharia law, and their official or unofficial motto, as I said, is death to Israel, death to America. But now their dream of building a nuclear bomb, as of last night, it is now officially over. So far, Israel successfully targeted over 100 sites, including missile batteries, air defense systems, airports, military installations, military leaders, nuclear facilities, the scientists who lead their nuclear program, and Israel's air campaign is only getting started. Now, of course, Iran could have prevented all of this. Personally, like the president, I wish that they did. According to President Trump, quote, 2 months ago, I gave Iran a 60-day ultimatum to make a deal. They should have done it. Today is day 61. I told them what to do. They just couldn't get there. Now they have perhaps a second chance. I'm not sure that chance exists. So tonight, will they try to make the right decision? Would Israel ever go along with it? Will its leaders continue down this dark path of death and destruction at the heart of convert or die in this twisted ideology? Does it even matter what the mullahs decide? Does Israel now have, do they become the masters of their own destiny? And have they decided that they have had enough with tens of thousands of missiles being fired again and again and again into their country? And this campaign is continuing. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey,
damn, man. Chat, I would definitely say this is the start of World War III. Like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to say it. I don't want it to happen. You know what I'm saying? We always want peace 24/7, but I think this is the start. Sad to say, but that's what's going on, man. It's tragic, but yeah, I'm probably gonna cut the stream short, like right here, because you know what I'm saying, I gotta get ready for this. Yeah, one of my boys, he makes music, so he's about to shoot a music video today. W's chat, man. Like, I got damn near 500 people in here. That's crazy. That's the most people I ever had in a stream, and it's a short stream today too. So like, you know what I'm saying, y'all should stay for the long ones. I'm trying to get into a schedule of it because like I be posting my what is it, the the normal TikTok videos that I post that you guys watch. But then I'm trying to also include the live stream. So like it's more smooth, you know what I'm saying? So I could just have like the live stream and like the normal videos, you know? So I'll eventually figure it out. But yeah, I'm about to like catch this, you know what I'm saying? Look at this, see what's going on at this music video shoot. And then, you know, I think I'm uploading on Monday. Yeah, I'm definitely uploading on Monday. So be sure to check out Monday's video and the next live stream. I'm gonna put it in the community tab, or I'm just going to post about it and just try to see what day I can do for the next stream. I'm going to be consistent, man. Thank y'all for joining, and thank Kyle Hoffman for like the most chats. I think he did like the most chats. Yo, funny ass dude, man. All right.